Okay, everybody, welcome to the third STEM Forum. So this is just something that we host where we bring on a guest speaker, we bring on a keynote speaker, they talk about something STEM related, and they try to help educate the audience, get more people more perspective, and get people more interested in STEM as well. So today I'm joined by Dr. Shoyi Wong, and he has a very nice track record. He's currently a professor at the University of Texas at Arlington for over 8 years at this point. Dr. Shoyi Wong, I'm going to let you introduce yourselves further. So yeah, take it away.
Yeah, hello everyone, and it's a great honor to speak with our youth group. If everyone can hear me clearly.
Yeah.
And my voice is good, right? Okay, just to make sure everything is good. So yeah, today it's actually a very special talk for me, and I think a majority of my time just talk with graduate students and give people in the university. Maybe this is my first time talk with middle and high school student, and I think it's great that they have this opportunity to talk with each other, and I would like to talk about the critical thinking. So I think that can be a very good, among a lot of other factors, the critical thinking can be important in your whole life. And here I can share the slides.
And I'm just gonna interrupt for 1 second.
Yeah, you
by
can
the way, guys,
enable me to
yeah, sure. Let me see. Okay, you should be able to do it now. This is a reminder that everybody here, every time you ask a question, you're going to be entered into a raffle at the end where you have a chance to win a very special prize from our team. So please feel free to ask questions, and you should ask questions. That way you have a chance at winning something that's pretty good. So yeah, ask questions, guys. It also makes you better.
Yeah, sure. Just interrupt me anytime, and we just would like to get your opinion, your feedback, and yeah, it's just a discussion, right? Not like a one person talk. It's a forum, and we just discuss and explore some ideas together. So I share the slides, and I make it bigger. Let me see. Okay, and here I just make the topic as become a critical thinker and go beyond. And in my opinion, I feel in the when I grow up and over the long journey of my life, and I feel when I become a critical thinker, and I got a lot from that. And many of our students, we notice they lack of the critical thinking, or they didn't realize about this, or even in particular when you are young. And when I was young, when I was high school, middle school student, I never think about this. If maybe I become earlier to think about the critical thinking, maybe I can do something more, right? Or better, get more achievement. And so what the critical thinking? So critical thinking, I think many of you may already heard this term, or in your school, your teacher may also talk about this. And the critical thinking is not only in your elementary, middle, high school. It goes through all your life, and that will help you. And it was identified as one of the most important skills a person should have, and for job success, and for a lot of things, and in life, in job, in work, in study, in research. And that's super important. Why I talk about this, just from my observation, I benefit from critical thinking, and I see that people need improvement in this area. So this is also a lacking skill in the workforce, and we see people just follow the instructions. They don't think critically, and it's also rated as the #1 increasing important skills over the next 5 years. The world is becoming more complex, and we need more critical thinking to survive in the future and to make success in a very complicated world as it becomes. So why the critical thinking is a lacking skill? Right? Why people say, oh, when people talk about the importance of something, it's usually people lack of that thing, right? Then people say, oh, we need this because we lack of this. For critical thinking is we observe, like most of the kids and even our researchers, graduate student, PhD student, if they don't realize, they just follow the instructions, and just like everyone in school, right? You are all in school, and you are used to listen to what teachers told you and what senior people, right, told you some rules, knowledge, and you just follow that. And actually, if you think more, you may find, oh, not everyone saying the right thing, right? Not that, even the teacher is not 100% accurate all the time. And even some knowledge itself, it may not be well developed, right? And there are still some issues or some loopholes behind, but it's just not presented in the class. So when people say, oh, just follow my instructions, this is I think it's a pretty funny plot figure I like. It's like, oh, I expect you all do independent, innovative, critical thinkers who do exactly as I say. So if you do that, right, if you follow everything another person tells you, and you will not be independent, innovative, and you will not be a critical thinker. You can make a lot of questions to anyone, right? To your teachers, to your to parents, and to your senior guys. That critical thinking and ask questions. Question is, some people think, oh, it's a negative thing, right? But actually, it's not, and it can help you to find the truth, find the fact. So the critical thinking is important, and it's a kind of people used to follow the instructions, right? Follow the rules, and ignore the importance of critical thinking. So here, some people in the recent studies, people say critical thinking may be another national deficit, right? It's we know everyone, and we have a national deficit for the debt, and we have like a 31 trillion this year. So it's a record high, but in the workforce, people saying it's a critical thinking is another national deficit we need to pay attention to. So we have our youth group, and I hope each of you can become a critical thinker, and you can think more critically for all aspects of your life, your study, and every single thing you meet up. So what's critical thinking, right? We talk about this as important. It's people lack of this. What it's critical thinking. Generally, people can we can just talk it in very simple way. Is critical thinking is a reasonable, reflective thinking focused on decide what to believe or do, right? So should you believe what people tell you, or should believe what you read? Or when you look at some problem, right, if there are different ways to think of it, right? People have some opinion. Do you agree? Do you believe? Or if there are some other possibilities? So critical thinking is the best. You can understand its ability of a thinker to take charge of their own thinking. So you take care your thinking, right? Not others. Right? You are an independent person and you think critically. Right? Even people, right, who won the Nobel Prize, and that they may say a lot of things that can be, some of that can be mistaken, and that we don't say, oh, those are famous people, what they say are correct. It's not true. When we do the research and when we do a lot of the frontline project, and yeah, even the top person, they make a lot of mistakes, and only we become a critical thinker and we take charge of our own thinking, and that you can make the right decision, make the best decision for you, for yourself, right? You take responsibility for yourself, not others, right? So the critical thinking is that you take charge of your thinking, and also you will benefit from this is, many of us, even include me, right? We just used to listen, and we listen to our parents, listen to our teachers, and they don't think that much for ourselves sometimes. So oh, my parents told me to do this, right? My teacher told me to do this. I just do it. But sometimes you can think in another way and say, if I really like it, if this is good for me, and I may do it differently, right? And sometimes your parents and your teacher may not think in that way, and they just think in their way, but you can think in your way, and then you can enjoy the best part of the life, right? Not just always listen to other people's opinion. So if we look in another way of the critical thinking, is like you can think of a scenario like everyone go to go for shopping, and we buy clothes, and every time, right, you buy some clothes, right, you don't just many of the case, right, you will wear it and try if it looks good, right? Sometimes you say, hey, I looks good from this angle, and I know from another angle it's not looks good, and you may try multiple times and you find the best one that fitted for you. The critical thinking is you can think it's kind of like this way, that don't just look at one mirror, look at different angles, and you will find the best fitted clothes for you, right? So critical thinking is like the three-sided mirror, or multi-sided mirror, that you look the problem, look the thing from different angle, from different aspect, and then you can understand the problem, understand the fact in the full strength, right? Okay, I wear this clothes, it looks good in the front, but not looks good from the side, and then you may not choose it, right? But if you look at one angle, right, and you may take it, but other people will look at you from different angles, right? So that may not be a fitted clothes for you. That, I think that can be a good example to illustrate the importance for critical thinking. When you consider about the critical thinking, you can always think of the example we talked here, that okay, it's like I try some clothes, I want look good from different angle, not just one angle. One angle can be biased. So that's also the importance, right? For critical thinking, we always look at the problem from different angle. And that sometimes from one angle, it's a difficult problem, but from another angle, you solve it so easily, right? So let's go to a problem. So this is a problem can be extremely difficult, and it can also be easy. So this is a problem actually from my high school. So many years ago, when I went to the high school and I got this problem, and I still remember it. So this is a problem to yeah, we can look at together. So there's a snail. The snail in the day one, the first day, it climbed a tree, and that it started in the morning. For example, it started at 9 a.m. and it climbed to the top of the tree, and it's around the sunset, like 5 or 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. And then just to say, oh, there's a friend of the snail there, and they slept overnight on the tree top. And then the other day, the second day, the snail started go back, right? And go down to the ground. And the second day, the snail got up late, so it started to go down at 10 a.m. because going down is easier. So it reached the ground at 4 p.m. And during the process, right, it's not a constant speed, and it can sometimes it moves faster, sometimes it's slower, and at some point the snail can also have a rest. So it's just take one day, climb up a tree, and in the second day it's going down to the ground, go back to the ground. The question, this is we observe, right? So what the question is, if it exists a point, a place in the tree, on the tree that the snail passed by that place at the same time over the day. For example, at 1 p.m. in the first day, the snail passed this point at 1 p.m. And on the second day, the snail passed by the same point at exactly the same time. Right? If it exists a place on the tree that the snail passed by at the exactly same time over the day. That's a difficult question. Right? There are so many uncertainties. And I remember when I first got this problem, I thought like multiple days. I didn't get it, and all my friends didn't get it. So that's why I still remember it, because that's so uncertain. You know, it's the snail going up at a different speed, and also at a different time, different location, and on different days. And most of us saying the answer is no, there not exist such a place, or the answer can be yes, right? But if the answer can be yes, how can we prove that, right? This can be a very interesting question usually when we talk with people, or when we look at different problems and different ways. This is also somehow can link to our research, right? We do a lot of research. My background is data science and machine learning, right? We have a lot of very difficult and challenging problems, and from different projects. And we always try to solve the problem from different ways, or try to think it in different ways. And sometimes they find some way it's much easier than others. But this is a very good. It's a simple question, but it can be extremely challenging, right? Because today we have a limited time. So we can just go to the answer quickly, but you can think of, if anyone have any answer on this.
Yeah, a couple people in the chat were talking about
Yeah,
they said one's are saying like on the top, another saying on the bottom. But going off what you said about like the importance of critical thinking, like we can see that play out in not just like in the general life. Like for example, there's a lot of people here who are thinking of going into like STEM, computer science type of fields, and like problem solving is like the main thing of computer science.
Yeah,
It's solving
that's
problems.
Yeah, that's true. It's a critical thinking. It's important, right, in computer science, and that's a logic. Right? The logic is super important. Yeah.
Yeah. So to that end, I think critical thinking is really important, and developing that critical thinking is like really beneficial.
Yeah, that's it. So that in the computer science and in all the engineering, or I would say here, in general, engineering, non-engineering, critical thinking, even in business, in finance, in all the field, critical thinking can be important. But most of the time, people in STEM and in engineering and do have more training on critical thinking, but actually critical thinking is so important for in every field. So yeah, so I see as people say on the top, on the middle, but can you prove that, or why it's on the top, or why it's in the middle? So, and one of the fundamental question, actually, it's hard to answer, is if it exists. It may not exist, right? So that's one of the when we do the research, we often have such questions. So if it exists a solution for this, or it's a feasible, right? When we do the data science and do optimization problems, so if it's feasible to find a solution, or can we prove it's not feasible, or can we prove it's feasible, right? So that's very critical. So for this problem, that's pretty challenging if we think in the direct way. But if we think in another way, a different angle, if we look the problem in a different angle, and you will find, oh, it can be much easier. So what we can think here is we look at the problem differently, and don't just consider there are one snail. In the difficult part here is you think the same snail, right, in 2 different days. But if you just combine the 2 days into 1 day, because the first day, second day, they are physically, they are just the 24 hours a day, and we just consider, okay, if we overlap the second day with the first day, and we think there are 2 snails, not 1 snail. So once in the same day, 1 snail in the morning and start climb up, and another snail on the top, right, on the top, and start to going down at 10 a.m. So the 2 snail will definitely meet, right? Then one going up, one going down, and they will definitely meet somewhere. We don't know it's in the middle or it's in the top, and it's somewhere in kind of the middle of the tree, and they will meet, and that will be the place that the snail passed by at that exact point at exact the same time over the day, right? So if you think it in a 2 snails and combine 2 days in 1, and the problem is solved so easily, right? We prove that, and it's definitely exists one and the only one, one and only one place that the snail passed by at the exact same time. Right? So if we consider the problem from another angle, the problem can be solved. So that's a kind of, in the STEM, in the math, right? It's a kind of math logic and math problem, and more. And we can be critical thinking for in general, what we observe, right? So it's from observation to what we think, right? What we think is very important, and that we observe the same thing and we can think very differently. So even earlier is that, the world is becoming more and more complex, and there are a lot of stuff happening every day. We see a lot of news, and we got a lot of information, right? And that, for example, here from this image, you observe, oh, some guy use a gun point to a person, and then, oh, that's pretty bad. And from another picture and say, oh, this soldier and give water to this guy, and this is pretty nice. And lots of fact, right? There are actually a lot of questions is, what you observe is the fact or not. So the full picture is this, right? They're happening this, but from a particular angle, right? From the particular angle, you look, oh, this guy point the gun to the head, but it's just from that angle. If you observe or take picture from another angle, you will think, and your conclusion, your information will, in your mind, will be totally different, right? So critical thinking usually, you always ask questions for what you observe, and people observe the same thing, or people can describe the same thing from different angle, but you may only observe one of the angle. And for example, they can see another picture, and for the picture on the left, you'll see, oh, that's pretty crowded, and from that particular angle, you see there are a lot of people. But from another angle, on the other side, oh, on the right, you see it's actually okay. It's not many people, right? They are not, close by. They still follow the distance rule, right? During the COVID, they're doing the past, for example. And if you look at the picture on the right, just, oh, the people didn't follow the rules. They just close by. And you may, oh, those guys are not good. They don't follow the rules. But actually from the other angle, oh, it looks good. So what we observe, right, from different angle, we can get very different conclusions. Right? That's also, every day we have a lot of news, and this critical thinking is so important. Is that if you don't have critical thinking, you may just believe what people say easily. But actually, everyone who write the papers, write the articles, it's not it's always, or it's not avoidable that people will have some bias, have their opinions, or they have some conclusions based on their knowledge, right? Different people have different knowledge. This is a multi-level word that people can describe the same thing very differently. So if we want to find the fact, we often need look at the thing from different angle, and at least we open-minded, right? We can be open-minded, and we can think differently from different angle. I think that's very important. And another important thing is that in the critical thinking is people will make confuse of the fact and the opinion. So in a lot of the news and the the information we receive, that's opinion. Right? Even for some textbook and some chapters, those are the opinion of the author. It's not the fact. And even for every day we do a lot of the research, and the our people, our lab members, they say, oh, this is this, that, this should be that, because of some paper saying this, saying that. But even some paper, some study did something, they published papers, that's opinion, right? And the fact is another thing. So when we have critical thinking, we need to think of, right, what's the fact? And it's their opinion, right? What's my opinion? And did they do everything correctly? Right? For example, when our PhD student doing researcher, we have a lot of researchers in our lab, and they often tell me, okay, I find this method is good, it's better. And I ask why you think this method is better? And he said, okay, this method, I got 95% accuracy. That method, I got like 93. And this method is 2% higher than that, another model. And I can ask, what's your procedure? Right? How you can make this conclusion? So how you did the comparison? And when we look carefully for the procedure, it's in many of the case, it's wrong, because the experiment is only based on random factors, and you cannot make a concrete conclusion just based on some random experiment. And every time when we make a conclusion and we try to find the fact, we have to make very strict validation or evaluation. So when we do the research, or when we try to solve a science problem, right, they don't give easy conclusion without checking the fact. The same thing for the general field, right? And you can just critically think, all the thing you see and publish, and it's not, oh, some experts saying this, that's opinion, right? And it's not what experts saying, they may not be the fact, or they have their bias, and we always need rethink. And there are a lot of technology breakthrough, and scientific breakthrough, and revolutionary technologies come from critical thinking. Right? We critically think other people's opinion. We don't think what other people say is fact. It's maybe not. So that's move the science and the technology moving forward, right? And I think there's Marcos is a Roman emperor, but he said some good saying, and I like it pretty much. It's everything we hear is opinion, not a fact. And everything we see is a perspective, not a truth. And you can be a person to look at the thing from different angle and find out the truth by yourself, right? And don't just rely on experts, like other people's opinion, and you can find the fact. And that's in this is Talent Land is a UK workforce study company, and they published a recent paper and saying, given the current the workplace is become more complex, the rapid changing, and it's important for the employees, for people to have critical thinking skills, right? That's many people, right? They just come to work and listen to follow the instructions. Right? You tell me what to do, I do. If you don't tell me what to do, I don't know what to do. And that in the future, it will become more dynamic. And there will be a more dynamic world, and that we need the critical thinking at a lot of positions. Right? In particular, a lot of our youth people, right? You are ambitious, and you want to startups. We want to do a lot of stuff, and the critical thinking, right, can always be important skill. So the important another thing is that people say, oh, I don't have much critical thinking, and what I can do, right? The good news here is the critical thinking can be improved, right? So like any other skills, right? If you realize it, and you can always think of the problem, always ask why, what, when, or ask the questions more, and your critical thinking can be improved, right? And many people just that's why people don't people still, even it's important, but still people lack of it, is that the critical thinking is harder than people think, right? When you think, it's not that easy to ask good questions, or it takes some energy, right? It's not come from nature, and it requires more knowledge for you to think more differently. And that thinking is hard. And from the science research, and we every day we eat the food, right? We eat food and we get calories, we get energy from the food. And the research find that our brain, the human brain, consume the most energy than any other part of the body. Right? It's our brain consume the most energy. And thinking is the hardest work. Right? It's not like our arm, leg, the thinking. Thinking is the hardest work. And so if you think hard, think more, and you may feel tired soon, and that's probably the reason not many people engaged in it so much. But we have a lot of talented people here, and you are all promising young youth, and it's more like, it's also like the doing any sport, right? If you use your brain more, you practice more, and you get more used to it, right? Just like you do any other sport, do the tennis, basketball, running, when you keep on thinking more, and your brain will be more active. That's also follow the scientific rules. And I did brain research, and we did the brain imaging studies, and that's true. It's more active when you do more thinking, and your brain signals is more active. And when you have this in your mind, right? It's a critical thinking in your mind, and it's also not easy to take it into practice. And here you can some atoms, I think it can be useful. The first, you can think everyone, a lot of people just try to be same with others, right? So it's have small risk, and but you can think differently and dare to be different, and don't worry about that. Sometimes you will get a lot of reward when you think differently, and when you ask different questions. And don't think it's an active thing, right, to question other people's, and usually that can trigger new ideas, trigger breakthrough in technology, and trigger a lot of stuff. And we have a lot of big companies and startup companies, and many of the ideas, they just in the beginning, they made just in a normal discussion, just like us, and we talked about something, and we think, oh, can we think this problem differently? That's a good idea, and that can be commercialized. Let's start up a company, like Elon Musk. He think a lot of things differently. When he did a new company, people say, oh, that's so novel, right? And when people did some novel things in the very beginning, so you should be there to be different, right? And think differently. And also try to be open-minded and flexible, because just like what we talk, what you observe may not be the fact, right? And there are so many things is unknown, and even the top expert, or even teachers, they may make mistakes, and even the foundation of the science can be flawed, and that's true. There are so many, when we do more research, and we know there are so many unknown things there. And for example, the theory of virus, right? Everyone know virus and the bacterial, but the theory of virus is not perfect, actually. So that's why people still haven't find an effective way to treat virus, because the foundation is not complete. The theory is not complete. But not many people know, only few people know. And people just believe what people see, right, in some published papers, and yeah, and reject some other people's different opinion. And this is also exist in the science community. People just, many people, they just believe some exist theory, and not that open-minded to new theories. And that's often a new theory need a long time to come into practice. And also you can, I would encourage everyone to keep on reading and join the discussions. And also sometimes you can also do your experiment and seek out ideas, and you can think about every single part of your life, your study, and always think of ask what, when, who, where, why. The why is important. How this should be this, how it should be that, right? And in the first, always ask, keep on ask why. And this same thing for our, when they do the research, right? And the people did some machine learning in this way, and we can always ask why. What's the rationale? Right? It's sometimes people just do it random, right? Sometimes just, oh, there are a lot of choices, I just select this because I just like it. A lot of things like that. There are a lot of randomness, and if you think differently, think critically, you say, oh, this guy did this selection, not based on a solid base. It's not a solid base, and I can do it better. Right? So when we have questions, when we ask, we will find the point where we can make contributions. Right? So when we ask, and we will find the point to make contributions and to make breakthrough. And when we have the questions, we can analyze the questions, do the analysis, and then we can evaluate. Right? So this is a model to generate critical thinking and in your everyday life, in your study. And you can always ask why. And then you can read, you can talk with your teacher, talk with your parents, and talk with, look for more expert and to have discussions. And that often trigger some new ideas. And you can get a lot of reward for that. So yeah, I think we talk about a lot of things for critical thinking, right? And we also think, right, the critical thinking is the next step, right? When you have the critical thinking, the next step is the problem solving, right? And we use critical thinking very frequently, and some, in particular, when we do the research, every single step, we need critical thinking. We always need a why I select this, why I don't select that. If I have a strong reason to do this, not another option, right? And also in your life, right, you can think, right, why I should do this, and why shouldn't I do another thing, and how I can, understand the fact, right? Not just listen to other people's opinion. So in the some more time, and after critical thinking, actually we will use it for problem solving, right? So the problem solving and the make more contributions is the goal, right? We want to solve the problem. We want to make new technology. We want to make a new science breakthrough, and we want to move the world moving forward. And the critical thinking is the foundation. And in the next, and I will go through a little bit over my background. Right? So I think, and also show you what I did. And during that introduction, and I can also put some critical thinking examples from me. And when we do the project, we always need we have to think differently, right, to make the progress. And yeah, so we have a lot of things, and I just want to everyone to a little bit understand more about my background. So now I was grown up from the middle of China, and this is my high school. And let me see what's, yeah. And this is the city is called Taiyuan, and my hometown is close to these twin towers. The twin towers is a sign of the city, because it's have like 500 years and more. So when I did my college, and yeah, I grew up until my age of 18 and go to the Harbin, and the Harbin is a very north city in China, and it has I joined a school called HIT, maybe the MIT in China. No, actually, it's I like the automation, and my background is automation, but in US they don't have automation major, and I think it's more like the combination of mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and AI. So automation, you can imagine that's the term. So you automate the thing, right? And the robotics is, and my department is the system control engineering, and the department is famous for the robotics, and for the aerospace engineering, it's for the control of the satellite. And I think that's my school is one of the top schools who can send the satellite to the space and do experiment. So I did some robot project there, and I like it. And in recent years, they have the space arm, and they have the robot to help in the space station. This robot arm is made from our school. So, and after that, I go to the Delft. Right? I'm not sure if anyone know where it is. The Delft is a city in Netherlands. And why I go there is because the school, the Delft technology of the Delft, the TU Delft, the Delft University of Technology have a partnership with our bachelor school, and we did the robotics there. And I think even when I was in college, I just go to the class and learn some class. I don't have much critical thinking myself. I think I just say, okay, what teacher taught me to do, I just to do it. People give me the homework, I do the homework, and the course, I do the course. And I think when I started to have more critical thinking, when I go to the Delft Delft mechanical engineering department, they have a control center. So that I think that's one of the top control center or robotics center in the Europe. And I participated in those robotics project, and I worked on the machine learning part. I don't do much the hardware design, and we have people doing that. And mostly they are, I'm still the graduate student, junior level graduate student, and the professors and the PhD and the postdocs, they are working on the mechanical part, but I take part at that time, I take part in those machine learning part. And we try to use the machine learning to make the robot walk more stably. And this is one of the prototype we work. And very special thing for the robot we work there is you can see it's very close to natural walking, just like our human walking. It's a human natural walking, and this is a simpler version. And we also have I worked also for this one. You can see, yeah, even it's not looks beautiful, but you can look at the way it walks. It's highly energy efficient, and it's a natural human walk. Right? Human walking is that is like 2005, right? It's almost 20 years, like 18 years ago. So you see, it's the pretty natural walking. And in recent, just several weeks ago, right? And the Elon Musk announced their Tesla robot, and I just show you here. Right, you see the robot. It's actually, this is a pretty impressive robot, but if you look at their walking style, that's still highly inefficient, right? And that's very common for when robot walk in that way. That's still the most the robot did that. Because I did the robot, that many years ago, and we did the natural walking, is we know that it's a very different design, very different design. And the reason why people did this type of walking just for, it's easier to control, right? Because I'm doing control engineering. It's easier to control, it's more stable and mechanically. If we want to do the natural walking like a human, and human walking is, in principle, it's not stable mechanically, but we can walk stably anyway because we have our brain. Our brain is complex, we can control that. And when we want the robot more energy efficient and more to show natural walking, we have to make the robot walk like a human, not like this, right? Like this. So you can try, right? You walk like this. If you walk like this, if you walk like this, you bend your leg and walk, you will get tired very quickly because it's not energy efficient. So human natural walking is very efficient, and it saves us the energy. And even like 18 years or 17 years ago, right? We have another version at the TU Delft, right? They still have that, and this is a natural walking. So that's actually come from the idea that at that moment, all the robot walking is like this way, right? Like the Tesla robot, right? Even now is 2022, and they're still using the same design. It's not improving over those so many years, and actually, in the future, I believe maybe not the long future, in the near future, they will also adapt to the natural walking because it's if you want this robot can do daily work and it should be energy efficient because the robot have to carry a battery with it, right? So if your battery consume and end up very quickly, and it may not be that useful, and the natural walking is at that time it's very novel, and when they did this, and that's just observation that why other robots they all designed in a very mechanically stable way, right? Mechanically stable way is this, but it's not natural. And the way think, and our team in the TU Delft, our team think we can try to design the robot in a very, very different way. And we make a success, and it's make a pretty good success. And I think in the future, it can be integrated to the everyday robot later, right? But it's kind of disappointing that the Tesla robot still, not that efficient in the design, but they did make a lot of good designs for a lot of details. But I think given the strong machine learning and the deep learning capability, and it should be able to learn the natural walking, right? Like this, natural walking.
Yeah, and another thing is that it's like really slow as well. Like you can see this robot.
That's a pretty slow. Yeah, that's right. So it's a super slow because it wants to be mechanically stable, and if you make the robot faster and like the natural walking, and the robot brain should be more powerful, and I think that's still need some more studies, and I think it's a concept is there, and it's just that people need adopt that idea. And another thing is that I can tell you is, this is 2022, and you see this is like a slow walking robot, and people consider this is state of the art, but actually 20 years ago, we already have some very naturally walking robot. And also another thing, what you observe may not be the fact, is a lot of technology you didn't see a lot. There are a lot of technologies actually it's already developed, but you didn't see. For example, there is a chemical scientist I know, and he's professor before at UTA, and he developed some technology that can improve the efficiency of the gas like 10 times, more than 10 times. Like for example, the current car. If the current car, if you're running 20 miles per gallon, for example, the current car, the gas car can run like, let's say 30 miles per gallon. So every gallon of gas, and your car can run like a 30 miles. But using that technology, your car can potentially run 300 miles per gallon. That's a super revolutionary technology, but no one knows. And because there are a lot of stories behind, but no one knows now. And only small people, a small circle of people who know him, know, okay, there's a technology. And he worked in a big company, and the company just hide that. And the company used that same technology, make monies for in other areas as a secret thing, but not for the automobile industry. So in the currently, everything is transition, right, from the gas-driven car to the electric car. But actually, there are also technologies can make our energy much more efficient, but people just didn't show that. So there are a lot of things, a lot of technologies, though even the Tesla, right? So the Elon Musk used the Tesla as the brand, right, of the car. And the Tesla also have a lot of technologies that not known by many people. So that, when you learn more, and you will find, oh, there are a lot of things that it's different of what you think, right? So it's when the word become more and more complex, because now you are in high school, right? You are in middle school, and your word is relatively not that complex. But later, when you go to college, when you go to the work, and when you go to more, and when you start running your business, and when you start have handlings with like a government, with a lot of people, you will find the critical thinking is so important, right? Not only in the STEM, not only in doing some math work, is critical thinking to handle with different people, and to handle different things. And the why people hide that some technology just for their some considerations, right? So you can just thinking this way. People have different considerations, right? Not everyone have different. Not everyone have the same opinion. So, for example, the technology I mentioned, it can improve the energy efficient like many times. But the things that if that technology become available on the market, that may revolutionize the automobile industry, and a lot of people will get laid off. And because every time when you have a new generation come up, new thing come up, and the old generation will have difficulties. So
by the way,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt. How long is your presentation?
yeah, it's almost there. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's already like 1 hour. So yeah, so the things that it's when people you think from your way, and the government and the organization company think from their way. So that's why when people say something, they say from their angle, and when we look at the things, we can look at different angles. So yeah, so here I did some robot, and I go to the New Brunswick, and here is the New Jersey, and I did the data science machine learning, and do the brain. Here is the brain imaging study. I did a lot of data science research for brain, so that's why I say we look at the brain signals. And also I go to the Seattle. Here is a University of Washington, and continued some brain imaging study, and like a robot arm, and using the electrical signal from the brain, right, to control a robot arm. And we can look at different patterns. And here, after that, I come to the Texas, Arlington, and this is still I'm current work here, and doing machine learning, right? And with different applications in life science. And I like that. I like the life science. I do the brain research, healthcare, and a lot more. And when you think that life science at a different scale, and different scale have different problems, have different data, and you find, oh, it's so many unknown things. People totally don't understand a lot of things when they look at different levels of the data. And we did a lot of machine learning and deep learning studies, and the machine learning and is so in recent 10 years, I would say the deep learning developing so fast. And one of the significant example is cat versus dog, and we can discriminate, the model can discriminate cat and dog. So how that become a reality, that's also like 20 years, more than kind of 20 years ago. And some pioneers, they think differently. That many people, they consider a lot of a traditional way, but only a few people, they think differently. And they say, why I do a lot of tedious feature extraction, why I can not just let the model to do that part. And only if you think the problem in a different way and people come up with some solution. It's not hard. It's not like a super complicated, but that concept triggered the deep learning, and the deep learning becomes a breakthrough, one of the most breakthrough technologies in the past decade. And the people can not only recognize accurately cat dog, right? Even they try to fool the model can still recognize, right? So now I would say the machine learning and deep learning can have a very big step for the AI, right? For many years, people talk about the AI and every time they have one step forward, right? You can see, right? There are some people make some new thinking, right, differently. And usually every like 5 or 10 years, they have some breakthroughs, right? So deep learning also have multiple milestones. And yeah, so this, they also did a lot of research and to make the AI system. AI system can work for healthcare and can work for, the energy, for finance. Yeah, we do different areas. Healthcare is my favorite. I like the life science and like the healthcare. And we also have the smart energy system for the future, and the smart smokers using AI. And we're not doing the machine learning, like a lot of machine learning models, they just compare their accuracy. Oh, my model is more accurate than yours. But for us, they need to think more critically that, can we use machine learning to do decision for us? Right? That's very important. And we did a lot of research on that. So yeah, in the end, I just want to encourage everyone to become a critical thinker and explore the world. And I would like to share this video that you can observe the world, right, from like micro to macro to at the different levels. And there are so many unknown, right, thing, or people already established a lot of knowledge theories, but try to be a critical thinker, and you may be the next one, right, to revolutionize some part of the world and in the future. So let's look at, right, it's amazing to look at our world at a different scale, at a different angles, right? You will see very different information. So it's right, it's that they become smaller and smaller. Yeah, this Earth even becomes so small, so tiny in the universe, the moon, Earth. And this is sun, and sun becomes so tiny. And the universe is so huge, and there are so many unknown things there. A thousand light years far. Even a lot of things we see here is people imagine or some make inferences. One billion light years. We don't know. Yeah, we're back to the earth, back to us, right? Ourselves. But ourself is a universe, actually. They go inside of us. Blood cell. The DNA. And go to nanometers. And we have the orbitals. It's kind of a stars, universe. We have ourself is a universe. It's amazing. And go to the proton. There may be even more, but we cannot observe. Right? Yeah, they just they look at the words at a different level, and there are so many unknown things like waiting for you to explore. Right? You can become an observer, good critical thinker, and explore the world in your future. Okay, yeah, let's finish here. I take too long time.
You're good. Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank him a bunch, and let's move on to some questions. So, by the way, guys, every question that you ask will be entered into a raffle at the end where you can win a 3D-printed part by us. So please feel free to ask your questions because we only have two, 3 questions in the chat right now, and I know that if you guys probably want to be incentivized to ask questions. So, yeah, if you ask a question, there's nothing you can lose, even if it's a bad question, we'll just answer it. So please go out there and ask questions because it'll help your critical thinking as well. So yeah. Okay, so first question is from Joseph. So we're seeing more misinformation being spread in today's age than ever before. So kids today should have even better critical thinking than before.
Yeah, I think that's definitely why I take this example. So when people try to blame something, they show a picture, for example, like they say, oh, this guy is so rude, it's like use a gun point to this guy, but actually it's not the fact, right? It's not, the fact is the opposite. The fact is that the two soldiers try to save this guy. So yeah, so the word is becoming more complex, and a lot of people, they make the misinformation intentionally, actually, and for their purpose. And a lot of people, they have, for political reasons, for a lot of reasons, and people make misinformation. So that's why I'm thinking, don't just read something and believe it quickly, and always look at the different mirrors, right? To look at the different source and think critically. And sometimes, the logic is not that strong, right? When people get some conclusion, and you can think, oh, if given that observation, can you get that conclusion? Yeah, some people just make some conclusion very baseless. And yeah, when you have the critical thinking, I think you can find more fact other than the opinion, right? So here, so that's why I'm have this slides, is that the fact and opinion, they are different, but many people didn't realize that. Many people look at some published papers or even some expert saying something, and so, oh, it's fact, right? But no, it's not, just like in recent years, people saying about different things for the medicines, for vaccines, and people will believe, oh, I believe what scientists told us, that when you believe, what is, it's not science, right? Science, when we have the scientific thinking, we have to be a critical thinker and not just follow what the scientists tell you, right? So I think that's an important thing.
Oh, cool. Next question. From Jessica, rumor always spreads quicker and faster than the truth. So it's hard to tell what you can trust and believe and know what not to trust. But to become a critical thinker, it takes like a lot of time to have more knowledge in specific areas and all this stuff. So what's your suggestions to kind of improve this critical thinking in a fast manner that you can actually discern true information?
Yeah, that's right. So the rumors and a lot of misinformation, they spread pretty quickly. And it's hard, it's even we know sometimes if we don't have time to check a lot of the factor resources, and we just say, oh, what other people saying, I just believe. And that's right. So it's not easy to discriminate, and a lot of misinformation, they also make a lot of concrete evidence, or some twisted information. You cannot realize that. The things that what I would suggest is that here I listed, just to keep open-minded. That is, when you keep open-minded, and you may not ignore some different opinions. And there is when we see everyone look at different a lot of informations every day, and many people, or most people, they just rate what they like, just ignore what they don't like, or it's a rate don't like the reading the different stories or different opinions. But when you keep open-minded, and you can say, oh, some people saying something differently, and you can look up that, see if that's reasonable or not, right? So being open-minded and flexible, and sometimes you can find a new place or new space, and you can get to know some new people, right? New people, and open a new space for you. And also you don't dare to be different, and you can think, oh, you may be the first person to find out something may have some issues, or you may be the first person find out a better solution, right, to solve something. So just to be open-minded. It's hard, if we cannot avoid that. But when you open mind, and when you keep on reading and get more knowledge, and you will become more and more, you will be more and more capable to recognize the misinformation. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then next question, what can parents do to cultivate our kids on critical thinking, and what can kids do to become a better critical thinker?
Yeah, for parents, I think even parents, we also need critical thinking, and I would say it's a very general term, and I would say just to have this in mind usually will help, right? So It's not like the math that you do a lot of problems, and it's more like the critical thinking. I would say it will help that when you get more training on the logic, right? Because a lot of thing, right? If you say this makes sense, it's make logic, and get more training for logic, and it will help, right? So you will see, oh, if this story or this conclusion is logical or not.
Cool. Okay. And then next question from Arthur. What are the limitations of digitalizing the human brain? That's a loaded question.
Yeah. So yeah, I heard of that. And so for the Elon Musk, and he also did. He's trying to do that. He's try to get. I think what they developed is called the Neuralink. Neuralink is try to. I think that's one of the most. Let me see. So Neuralink is one of the. I can share this screen. There it is. I cannot find it. So for it's still a long way to go. Right? What I'm saying is, so okay, I find it here. I stop sharing this and I start sharing another window. So I did the brain imaging study, and there are a lot of companies, they try to collect data from brain. And Elon Musk did this like 5 or 6 years ago. That is, yeah, this still, it's an ongoing project, and they embed the chips inside of the human brain. It's kind of on the surface of the brain to collect more information from inside. And earlier I said I worked on one of the projects at University of Washington, and that project we also collected signal from inside of the brain. But we only have one person do the data collection, that person doing the brain surgery, right? When people do the brain surgery, they open their scalp, and they can put sensors on their brain. And even a lot of people doing the brain surgery, right? Not many people like to do that experiment. And Elon Musk is one of the pioneers doing this, and he did more people. He did experiment more among people, and also many people criticize this, say, oh, that's kind of you will developing some technology to control human. And yeah, I would say it's a promising that I would say from the positive side, this technology in the near future, it can help people for rehabilitation, right? So if people lose their arms or legs, and they may be able to use the Neuralink to control some robot arm, or robot leg. And that's maybe something can happen in the future. And given the Neuralink, or Neuralink is kind of, you can use your brain to control the robot. But I would say it's, if people want to digitalize the brain, that's still hard. I would say even the Elon Musk did is Neuralink is the most advanced so far. That's still collect an electrical signal from the surface of the brain. It's still not that revolutionized. I think in the future, it shouldn't be the same technology. It may be some brand new concept, brand new ideas. Just like human, right? We have our DNA, right? Currently, we have the data storage, right? So we have the hard drive. So we store our data in hard drive like this, but human in the life science, right? The DNA store information much more efficiently, right? DNA can store a lot of information much more efficiently. And I think in the future, if we want to digitalize the brain, it shouldn't be still the same technology like the hard drive. So currently, for the neural link and the current brain technology, you can consider it's still at the hard drive level. And it's still a long way to digitalize your brain to a good level. But in the future, if the technology developing in a next level, and then people can store and process information like in a DNA level like that efficient, that may be the time people can store your brain. But currently, I think for Neuralink still achieve some very fundamental and basic functions, but not as advanced as you think. But one day, for example, you say, oh, people can store a lot of the huge big data, not in hard drive, in some DNA, like new technology, like DNA stuff, like our life science technology. And then maybe you see here, I think this is one of the figures to show. There it is. Yeah, the hard drive becomes smaller and the DNA level technology, it's not exist yet, right? People still need more time to fully understand the protein, DNA, and those macro level, right? Earlier, I showed a video, right? When it goes to the small macro level, there are still so many unknown things. And later, when scientific breakthrough goes there, and we can store data like a DNA store the information, we may be able to do the digitalizing of our brain. Yeah. I think that's what my opinion. That's my opinion, not the fact. Okay.
Okay, cool. I don't think we have any other questions. This is like the last chance. You guys want to ask some questions? All right, if that's it, I'm gonna go get a raffle ready. And also, I'd just like to thank Dr. Shoyi Wong for joining us here today. And I also like to thank all of you guys for taking your time out of your long weekend, joining us here today. I know a lot of you have holidays on Monday, if you're working or if you're like going to school, and some of you have it on Tuesday. So that's kind of like, it's good. Thank you guys for showing up. I'm gonna get this ready. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. And
Yeah, no problem.
let's look forward to have more discussions with you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you very much, Professor Wang.
Hey, hi.
Sure, my
Jessica.
Yeah. There we go.
Many of our kids they are in the robotics team.
I think some of them are, some of they're I think they're from the community. So
I see.
yeah.
Oh, by the way, actually I have to redo this because I put the wrong person. I don't know why I put my own name here. So it's Joseph who asked the question. Sorry. Okay, go. And it's close. Okay, yeah. And it looks like
He
there it is. Arthur.
okay,
Arthur Wang.
author.
So yeah, you're gonna get a really cool thing from us. And yeah, so that's good for you. And then
What's
yeah,
that? It's an award. It's some gift for the
yeah, but it's like we have a 3D printed keychain. We're gonna give it to him.
Oh, that's nice. That's interesting.
Yes.
Do
So
you
we'd
want to show
like
it?
to thank all you guys.
Show
Yeah,
it.
and-
So next time maybe we have more people want to ask questions. I
Mhm.
know it's a little bit. I mean, critical thinking probably is hard. I mean, for the little kids, but for the older ones, this is really really important because I have the same feeling that I grown up in China. I just do whatever the teacher told me, and I just follow the instructions from the parents. I even don't choose my major when I decide which university or which major I want to choose. So I even don't know what the university looks like. You know how the classroom will be looks like before I, start to decide which one to go. But nowadays you have a lot of choices, and those choices will become your future. So every decision you make, every choice you choose, that is make you become a you in the future. So you need to think about it and try to become a critical thinker. I think it's really really important because
Yeah.
you don't want to follow the instructions from anyone except you from the inside of your heart.
Mhm. Yeah, I think we are from the similar background. When we was young, we don't have that many opportunities, right? We just have a standardized training steps. And currently, for our case, it's not the less of opportunities. They full of opportunities. When they have like so many opportunities, the challenging thing is how to select, how to select the things that are best for them. And before we don't have that much like training tutorials things when we was young. But now the information is so reachable, and it's so we just so we will face so many things. The critical thinking is so important to find the thing best fitted for yourself, not for others. If you always not think for yourself, just and you just say listen or follow other people's opinion, and later on when you grow up and in a long journey of your life, you will always find fighting with yourself. A kind of you don't enjoy that much of your life. You kind of always have a fighting with your, oh, this is what other people want me to do, this is what I really like, right? It's better in the very beginning, right? You do what best fitted for you, right? Later, when you find, oh, I go to a wrong way, it's take much more effort to go back to yourself.
Yeah, I think that it's getting late for everybody. So
Okay, yeah, so we can finish
let's
and
wrap
talk
this up.
later.
Cool. Yeah, so yeah, as I said, thank you guys for showing up. Long weekend, you guys still showed up, which is really cool. This is also going to be on YouTube on our YouTube channel. So if you want to go like see what he said before, see some more questions and all this stuff, you can go look there. And keep eye out for emails from us, because we'll send a follow-up email letting you know what's going to happen for the future STEM forum, as well as just thanking you for showing up. So yeah, thank you guys for showing up, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend.
All right. Bye, guys.
Okay, bye.